So we're just going to do a short restorative session. We're going to start in supta baddha konasana, and I'm working with a bolster horizontal, which is going to go across my back, and I've got a couple of blankets for the head. I'm just got some yoga blankets here that I've folded short ways in 3, and I've got 2 on top of each other. You don't have to have yoga props. This could be any household blanket. They could be cushions off your couch. The bolster, instead of a bolster, you could use pillows off your bed, even just some sort of height behind the chest and for the head as well. We're going to sit in front in baddha konasana. I'm going to sit a little more forward of the bolster, bringing my legs together, and I'm going to be supporting my outer upper thighs. Once again, I've got some long ways yoga blankets that I'm going to fold in half. They're going to be wedged in right up close to my hips. I've got a belt. If you don't have a yoga belt, you should find by the time you bring the blankets in place that the outer upper thighs, or once again, they could be couch cushions, that your feet feel quite supported. They're not going to slide. The belt just secures that in if you've got one handy. We're going to place the belt over the body, around the top of the buttock, and in through the legs and around the feet. I'm going to tie that up. I like to have the slack of the belt going in towards you, and then bringing your feet as close to the perineum as you can, getting your blankets to support the thighs, so right up close to the outer hips. Once again, if you don't have cushion support, you could even just use blocks. You could have, I always like to angle my blocks to support the thighs. So right up close to the outer hips. When you lie down, come onto the elbows first. Make sure the belt stays on the crease of the inner groin. And then you're consciously going to extend your upper buttock away. The bolster's supporting the middle back chest. And then you have the support for the head. You might see that I've got a slight gap between the head support blankets and the bolster. So when I bring my arms out to the side, the deltoids nicely descend into that gap. If you like, you could bring in an eye pillow, or you could have a folded belt over the eyes, and if you're cold, cover yourself. The aim of the bolster is not only to lift the back chest, not only to bring the shoulder blades in, but also where you feel the spreading of the skin of the back chest. We're spreading from the inner shoulder blades out. As you gently descend the top of the deltoids down in between the gap, where you turn with a little more awareness, the thumb side of the hand out and down. You get a good rotation of your bicep flesh from inside out. This exposes the armpit chest. You get that nice lift up through the side chest region. Stay mindful of the upper buttock extending to the feet. And just very gently press in through the feet. Just enough that you feel they're evenly drawing in towards each other. And where you lengthen the inner thighs to the inner knees, and as much as you can, release the inner knees down. Now, we're not trying to reduce the stretch with the blankets at the thighs. It's purely to support the legs. So if you feel you can go a little bit lower with the knees, just slide the blankets a little more towards the knee side. If there's any paining in the groin or issues in the hip, keep it wedged up close. You could even, if you want to get a bit more length, you could reduce the height of those blankets. You can see when I place my head, I lengthen the back skull away from the shoulders. And the hip support is really important. It's the right height for you. If it's too low, the head gets thrown back. The throat gets quite hard at the top of the throat. If it's too high, the chin is overforced into the throat. So where it's high enough that your forehead is parallel to the ceiling, then you get a nice broad collarbone chest. Supta Baddha Konasana, in this way, especially with the horizontal bolster, is particularly beneficial if you're menstruating and you suffer cramping. It allows that slight back bending action to soothe the adrenal glands, but it allows the belly flesh to soften to the back waist. So you want to feel from the navel, there's a spreading to the side waist as your abdomen gently rests a little more towards the back spine. In a more restorative pose, we're really aiming to be fully supported by the props, where you allow the props to create the shape so you can fully surrender your body. And in that surrender of your body, soften the skin of the face, to send the eyes deep into the sockets, and where your inner gaze is drawn down towards the chest. Where you fully start to observe your inhalation and your exhalation. Noticing just the bolster there, how much it helps spread and open the chest. As those shoulder blades come more into the back, you create more inner space inside the chest. So just enjoy that space, enjoy how deeply and to the full capacity you expand the surface area of your lungs, following the rhythm of your own breath. When you start to bring more awareness to the breath, particularly watching that you're not trying to control your breath, just simply allow it to find its own rhythm. And you're just the silent witness as you watch. The longer you stay, the more you may notice your breath deepening, becoming slower. Once again, where you let go of the physical body, rely on the support of the props to surrender the outer thighs into the blankets, the shoulders down into that gap. Supta Baddha Konasana is particularly beneficial for the lymphatic system, where it encourages lymph flow, where we have a lot of lymph nodules in the armpit and in the groin. So that a type of pose that opens the arms from the chest, that opens the legs from the pelvis, encourages that movement of lymph fluid in through the nodes, helping the immune system stay strong and healthy. Your thigh bones are drawing into the hips. Your outer upper thighs also drawing up into the outer buttock. Your inner thighs turning to the outer thighs. So where you aim to turn the inner thighs, increase the length of the inner thighs to the inner knees. Keep allowing the gentle inflow and outflow of your breath. Now perhaps you feel you could stay longer. I'm going to come up in a moment, but feel free to pause the recording if you'd like to stay even longer here. But as we prepare to come up, remove the support for the eyes. We're going to come up with the support of the arms, bringing the forearms back onto the bolster, and then coming up through the hands, removing the belt. And just move you might like to straighten your legs for a moment, just releasing the back of the knees. And we're going to keep this same setup to go forward, virasana. So feet together, knees apart. Just going to take one of those blankets I had at my thighs, and I'm going to place it on the heels. So I'm not just dropping my buttock down. We want a nice extension back through the sitting bones. So we're just going to fold it one more little bit, so we've got a little bit more height there. Clear the skin of the top shin away. You get a good length in the thighs. You might find you need to move the bolster a little further away, and then you can support the hands on the blanket and the forehead and elbows on the bolster. If there's tightness in the shoulders, you can even go a little wider with your arms. This is a good way to release the back from the supta baddha konasana. Where you gently descend your shins, descend the tops of the feet. Stretch your sitting bones back as you lift width from the pubic bone to the navel. And find that anterior spinal length from the navel to the sternum, and follow the skin of the sternum up to the throat. Gently press your shoulder blades in and spread across your back shoulders as you go on lengthening the top sternum, extending out into the hands. Gently spreading and pressing the hands down to keep the arms a little more active. You have to be a little mindful here of those bottom front ribs. If they're dropping for you, or if you feel you're really digging into that lower back, you can take a blanket. I'm just going to go that half-fold blanket again and place it on the top thigh so it fully supports the abdomen and helps it soften into the back waist. And you get that good spreading across your back waist as you go back in again. Once again, this extra blanket could be particularly beneficial if you're menstruating and you're suffering cramping. Just a few more breaths. Channel your inhalation and your exhalation again. Observing the spreading and opening of the chest. And as you keep that space across the back shoulders, the top shoulder blades descending down the back as your sternum lengthens forward. Go on descending the shin. And then to come up, you can walk your hands back and releasing out. All right, so these little sessions are not too long, roughly 20-30 minutes. Sometimes it can be a really nice time for you just to quieten. If you've had a busy day or you're feeling, you know, this is quite an anxious time for everybody. Sometimes a 20-30 minute restorative practice can just help quieten the nervous system and make you feel a little more present. Sammy joining me now, my dog. I'm going to go Shavasana. Now, I'd like to keep that support across the back chest. So we're just going to simply I'm using a half-folded yoga blanket. This could be a towel even, or whatever blankets you've got. Perhaps you've got some couches have a long, thin cushion that you could place behind your back. The important thing, though, is because we're lifting the back chest, you may need a little bit more height under your head. I'm going to pop another blanket there. So we're going to sit forward. I'm going to keep my bolster handy to place under the knees. Now in yoga, we call the calves the second heart because of the venous blood return that comes from the calf. There's a lot of blood flow into the calf flesh. So this also helps quieten that calf region. I'm sitting a little forward of that blanket. And once again, when I lie back, bring the hands back, extend the upper buttock away. That blanket is across that middle back chest. The shoulders, there's that slight gap between the shoulders and the head support. Just straighten my mat. So you can release the shoulders down to that gap. Bring the blankets right up to the tip of the shoulders. You can even use your hands to lengthen the back skull away from the shoulders. You've got that nice space for the neck. Once again, you can get your support if you want to use an eye pillow, or you can even just fold a belt over the eyes. So that height behind the chest, similar to the bolster, is aiming to lift the shoulder blades into the back to get a little more space inside the chest, but also to spread the skin of the back chest. If you notice there's any catching at the skin inside the shoulder blades, you can just gently bring your forearms together, bring the thumbs to the third eye, and you might even want to go from side to side and clear that back skin out of the, from the inner shoulder blades out. Then you can release the arms again. Let the legs and the feet gently release out. You can even go a little bit wider with the legs if you like. Release the arms. Allow the thumb side of the hand to release out and down. Keep allowing the tips of the shoulders to release down in between that gap. And the blankets for the head should be right close up to the shoulders so you're supporting the neck. We're looking for a parallel forehead to the ceiling. Your inner upper arms are turning to your outer upper arms. Send the weight of the whole body down. Really feel the weight of the back body releasing down to the mat. Allow the eyes to quieten deeply into the sockets. Your teeth are slightly apart. And your lips are very gently touching. Let's return to the focus now on your breath. So we're really just aiming to observe the movement of the rib cage. As you inhale, the rib cage expands and lifts. And as you exhale, the rib cage releases down to the belly. Imagine as you breathe in, you're breathing in from the very center of the chest out to the periphery, out to the ribs. And fully allow yourself to exhale. So just keep going in that Ujjayi 1, inhalation, exhalation, fully allowing the breath to take over, and so you can surrender a little deeper. This first stage of when you start observing your breath in Shavasana, it's very much in that Ujjayi 1 pranayama realm, which is where we're simply just watching our breath. You know, take the time to notice any differences in the sides of the chest as you inhale. Sometimes you may notice one side of the chest opens and spreads more than the other. We have right lung, left lung. You might notice a difference in each side. You may notice the difference in length of your inhalation and your exhalation. You're just observing. Once again, you're a silent witness to your own process of breath, where you're not trying to force or make your breath any different to how it is. And perhaps your mind starts to wander. You may notice thoughts coming into the mind. And just see if you can gently return to your breath, where you can try and detach from your thoughts. You might not be able to completely stop them, but you can certainly detach. And over time, where you can fully stay present with the full length of your inhalation and the full length of your exhalation. And you can ride on the rhythm of your breath and fully surrender deep within. Once again, you might feel you could stay here. And if you're really tired, a good 20-minute Shavasana can be of great benefit. Just give you a little bit more oomph for the rest of the day. So once again, feel free to pause this recording. Stay longer here, observing your breath. And as you're ready to come out, first where you can observe the weight of your body, you can gently start to bring movement through your hands and your feet. And then gently bend your knees and roll off to the right side to slowly come up to sitting. And then where you can just gently just sit on a bolster for a moment and cross your legs, just to see if you can retain a little of that quietness. Bring your hands into Namaskarasana, Open the outer corners of the shoulders back and lift your chest as you surrender your head to your heart. And just see if you can keep this quietness throughout your day. You can gently release your hands and lift your head.